be showing you my portfolio today. Firstly, I want to go over the website structure and its features. Then we'll go over the website design process that I encountered whilst I was making the website, and decisions that I made along the way, both aesthetic and functional decisions. Lastly, we'll go through some challenges and some ethical things that I went through, and then we'll do a quick walkthrough of the site. So to touch on the structure, I wanted a really simple layout, as you can see to the right. The home page can be reached from both the header and the footer, and the three main nav buttons are Me, Blog, and Contact. You can also get to my projects and my Connect page via the homepage, and then social links are also just straight off of the homepage. I wanted a simple structure just because I wanted the user to feel like they could easily navigate the site and not get lost and get too deep. So that's why I wanted a simplistic layout. Some components I used were animations. I included a dark mode. I used a form for the contact page along with some styled buttons, one of which links to my resume in another tab. I also included images and styled them with some animations as well, just to make the page more interesting. And then there's some navigational and external links like social media, and then just the internal ones that go around the page. Some of the animations I used were really cool. I use them on every page of the site. On the first page, the home page, there's sort of like staggered reveal effect, just to, give the user a beautiful entry to the site. And then the rest of the pages are styled the same in terms of a synchronized delayed reveal. When I was planning the site, I know everyone says to start with mobile, but unfortunately I did not do that. However, it wasn't too late to start, so then I was able to go back. As you can see, I used the iPhone 11 Pro. I made sure to give extra padding along the sides, for scroll bars whilst you're on the phone. I considered larger buttons and easy links so that your thumb could get to them quite easily. And then just larger text with a focus on vertical alignment. Then we move to the tablet, in which that it's slightly wider, so everything's a bit more spread out. So this allowed me to expand across the x-axis. And the form, you can see that it's a little bit wider, and the recent work tiles are a little bit bigger, and those include photos as well. The Connect page is now, into 3 columns instead of 3 stacked blocks, I guess. And then the blog page, it's sort of getting a bit bigger, more image space, that sort of thing. Then we moved to the desktop, where I was able to focus more on graphic effects, such as those animations, hover effects, delayed reveals, scrolling, and just everything was larger. So it was a lot easier and a lot more fun to play with in that sense. So you can see down there on the blog page, that image, the main image scrolls, as well as that side nav, where you can scroll through a list of the blog posts, which is pretty cool. So these are up close shots of all the pages, so we'll go through all of them. On the left is the iPhone, and then you've got the tablet and then the desktop. So as you can see, as you get bigger, the design sort of expands across that x-axis. Next, we go to the projects page. So as you can see on the left, the tiles take up most of the screen, which is good for, people with bad eyes and, people that are just on their like handheld devices most of the day. Then you go to the tablet, and it sort of spreads out. Of course, on the actual tablet, this is probably a little bit bigger. And then you've got the desktop, which is the most space, and it goes into that 2-column layout instead, using grid. Then we go to Connect. So as you can see, again, the text is quite big on that on the mobile device. And then we move to the tablet, in which case it goes into those 3 columns, the central columns. And then on the desktop, you can see even better. And those are all styled with animations that slide out from that central column. So it makes, for a bit more of an interesting page. Then we've got the About page, also known as Me, in the header. This one, much the same. The layout sort of changes as you get to a bigger screen, and it goes more into that horizontal layout. this one also used grid. Then we have the contact page. So this one has a form in which the user can put in their details, and it will send me an email in which I can then respond. Fairly simple, but I wanted this one to be simple so that the user could really focus on the details and making sure that, you know, they wanted to reach out, and making sure that they knew why they wanted to reach out as well, whether it be to work together or if they have inspiration or if they have feedback or anything of that sort. Then we've got the blog. This one was pretty fun to make, but kind of pretty hard. I wanted the blog to be more visual than textual, which was a really hard thing to conceptualize. So I went for a double gallery sort of. Both of them are navigational, so they both scroll to the start of the next of the image. Which is really, really cool. And then on the desktop, that left gallery, when you hover over it, the pictures become colored. So as I just mentioned, the blog was pretty fun to use, to make, and I wanted to make sure that the user wasn't going to be bored, but that they could also read the blog. So that's where you get both those photos from. And then, I just wanted to create a little bit of an image gallery to keep them interested. The next page that I think is a pretty good feature is the projects page, which shows my recent work. I quite liked how on the night mode, the tiles sort of look like, they're backlit, and it's like sort of like a trophy, using that box shadow. And then on the desktop, as you can see in that tablet view, one of the boxes is like a little icy blue that occurs when you hover over it. So there is an animation as well, which, alerts the user that they're on top of a certain project. And each of those tiles you can scroll within. So that allows for minimum text showing, but you can have a lot of text on the page if you want. And then the little GitHub links, those are links to the repository, or you might have an Instagram link, or, a web link where you can show the work live. And then night mode was another feature I really wanted to include, just because I always have my phone on night mode and people are worried about eye strain and that sort of thing. So I wanted it to be user friendly in that regard, and it does look good. Some challenges, as I mentioned, doing mobile first was pretty hard, but luckily I didn't get too deep where I couldn't start over. I also touched on grid versus flex. I thought flex was easier to use at the start, but then I found grid to be more versatile, which was really cool. I ended up liking grid a lot better. As I said as well, I wanted a visually pleasing blog layout, so I didn't want that much text showing. So coming up with that concept was pretty rewarding when I was able to style it all. I was originally using SCSS, but then I switched back to, I originally was using CSS, then I switched to SCSS, and then I switched back to CSS because it was just getting too out of hand. So that was a bit of a challenge, the refactoring and making sure that all the code was useful and that sort of thing. And then just deploying, I had a bit of some issues due to the SCSS not corresponding to what I had actually written in the CSS. So that was one of the challenges. That's it for here. Let's go take a look at the site. So this is the site, as you can see. So when you hover over projects and connect, they sort of light up. You've got your links over here. You've got the bottom nav and you've got the top nav, which also hovers, indicating that these are links. If you click on me, you can see resume opens up into it's not letting me do it, but it opens up into a new tab. And then you've got contact, which is the form, and you can put in all your information. Night mode, also, you can sort of see everything. Here's the blog that I was telling you, how it's a dual scroll, which is really cool, and the hover with the colors and everything. So this is the way that I was able to do it. And if you click one of them, it takes up the full screen, which I thought was really nice. And so that's my page. I hope you guys enjoy, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks.